I'm Sydney and welcome to my Flock and Squawk. Today I'm going to be just brushing out my Sailor Moon wig and discussing my cosplay. So yeah, I wore this to the Rose City Comic Con. If you want, there is a vlog here on my channel, but I'm just going to talk you through my wig styling, how I would do it maybe next time, and also showing my cosplay. And I didn't really film making it, but I made both her sailor uniform and her Sailor Scout leotard outfit. So I will be kind of showing the behind the scenes here. But yeah, I'm going to be disassembling my Sailor Moon wig to sort of just store it. But yeah, and I guess first off, this is from epiccosplay.com. It is one of their Sailor Moon wig sets. So basically what you get is this base wig, which is like a pigtail wig. You get the two buns and then you get the ponytail. I opted for the ones that they have or ponytail ones that clip on, where it just has like a clip. I opted for the other version, which is sort of a tie-on, or you can make it a more permanent. But they are obviously the really long pigtails, and what you see here are the bangs styled curled. I'm sorry, Margaret was being nosy. But what you see is I've curled the bang section. I've attached these. Everything I attached is removable, undoable to sort of somewhat the original state that I found the wig, or got the wig in the mail. I didn't want to do any permanent changes unless I messed things up, because this is my first attempt at styling a wig. So first off, for the bang section, since I feel like that's probably the most obvious portion, or might be the most work that I did on the actual styling of the wig, but I curled the bangs, and I did this with foam curlers and a steamer. So this wig is heat resistant, but I thought it might be easiest for me to just steam it, and I got these beautiful curls that hold up really well. I had to re-steam part of it to get those curls, but that was because I didn't leave that side in for quite long enough the first time. But basically I rolled all of these in curlers, steamed it, and then once it was fully dry, took them out, and then I just sort of brushed them through a tiny bit, but not like a ton, so the curl was still there. Enough to sort of blend them. But yeah, this is sort of what it ended up being. It's probably not the easiest for you to fully see, but I will put in pictures of me wearing this wig. I think it turned out really well. I do really like how my cosplay turned out. But you can kind of see the curl. I'll move just a touch. You can see the curl that got in, especially right here where it's like a perfect ringlet. So also on the buns, I put these back on. I'm going to remove the buns and put them back in these just to maintain them. For the pigtails, I'm going to brush them out and I'm going to braid them, so that way they're hopefully won't get as tangled being packed away. So for the buns, I used these style pins. I'll set things down. This style of hairpin. I like to use these in my own hairstyling to begin with when my hair gets longer, because you can kind of get them invisible. Obviously for her it would have been better if I did blonde version of these clips, but I also used bobby pins. I just used what I had, because I didn't want to end up with a whole bunch that I probably wouldn't use on my own hair. But So here is one bun. It's slightly chaotic, but it's going to be packed away. So I'm just gonna tuck it back in here. So obviously for my cosplays, like, I made them over the course of a couple months because I work full-time, I've been doing YouTube, and honestly, like, it's pretty easy to put off if you have it where you don't need to see it. If you keep your cosplay and your sewing stuff where you don't have to see it. The biggest thing was seeing the wig every day, because I didn't really have a different spot to put it. And I knew that Rose City was coming up, and that I wanted to wear it specifically for that, because it was my first convention. I wanted to cosplay, and so I eventually just sort of got to it, and yeah, I feel like if I had just sat down and done my cosplays, I could have whipped them out in like a week. But with other responsibilities, I feel like over the course of a month or so it just worked out a little bit better anyway. But here you can see, so this wig came as 2 pigtails, and I split it into essentially 4 sections of hair. The top 2 I did into buns and topped with the bun portion, and then the bottom is just sort of a pigtail that I incorporated. I did sort of a bubble braid, I believe is what it calls, but you can see the end of the wig's pigtail is here. But yeah, I definitely would like to figure out a better way to attach the braids in the future, or attach the pigtails, the long tails, in the future. Because this worked. They held on. I had no issues throughout the weekend, but I feel like there has to be a better way. Okay, so there's that. And then there. And see, just, whoops, see, like that, I had the teeth of this clip in there, pull it there. You can see this is how much was in the actual pigtail of the wig. So I'm just gonna slowly slide this out. And I will be brushing this out in a moment, but it's hard to really grasp how long this actually is. But I'm gonna set that aside. I used 2 different simplicity patterns for my Sailor Moon outfits. One was a schoolgirl outfit, and then one is more made for Sailor Moon's, like, crime fighting, Sailor Ascension outfit. Now, I don't love the Sailor Scout outfit. I feel like there's a lot of room for improvement in how I made it. Following the pattern, I feel like, was helpful. It wasn't terrible, but I feel like there's a lot of things that could have been better. So I feel like it's definitely one that I would wear again, but I would, if I were to fully remake it or make a different Sailor Scout, I would definitely make changes. I would probably go about following other cosplayers' tutorials as opposed to using that pattern. But I will get to that more in a moment. But yeah, let's just get this these pigtails off. Okay, so this is sort of closer to how Sailor Moon arrived to me. And yeah, you can see it's just, oops, I'll pull her a touch bit higher. But you can see that the pigtails end here. Another note on this wig is that I crimped, actually. I used a crimper on the pigtails to hopefully help them out a bit. I have seen videos on it where people crimp their wigs to help with detangling, and then it adds volume when they brush it. So I did that, and it's a long process on a wig this long, but doing it I feel like could have been helpful, but I don't know otherwise since I haven't had a wig other than this one that I've done it to. But sometimes not brush these slightly more. The nice thing about steamer is that it's so easy to use for if I brush out the curls too much, I can redo it eventually. But she has big fluffy bangs. So yeah, here is the base of my Sailor Moon. It pretty much, I feel like this portion is ready to go back in the bag. So I'm going to readjust and we are going to brush through my pigtail portions and talk more about the actual cosplay itself. Alright, so I'm going to be brushing out these pigtails, but so my cosplay essentially is 4 parts, in essence. The sailor, school uniform is a top and a skirt, and then obviously there's the extras like shoes and socks and bag, if you were to be doing that also. And then the Sailor Ascension outfit is 2 parts of the leotard with the skirt and then the overcoat. They call it a coat, but it's more just like the top portion with the sailor neck and bow. So I feel like the base layer of that sailor leotard and skirt, like that, worked out really well. It was very comfortable. It has snaps at the crotch and you pull it over your head. And the fabric for your skirt does not have to be doesn't have to be stretch at all, because the leotard base that it's on, it just has to be able to make it over your shoulders, essentially. I feel like that went super well. It felt very comfortable. There were issues at the top for me, but they were covered by the coat. The construction, I feel like I kind of got tired of, and eventually sort of just like called it, okay, this will have to just be good enough, instead of like a magnum opus, since it essentially was my first cosplay. But like I said earlier, if I were to do it again, I might not follow that pattern. This is for a few reasons. especially like looking online, like Pinterest and other cosplay communities, they use just like a basic white leotard as the base. A great starting point. And then they make the hip rolls and the skirt separate, which may require a zipper, may not. I have looked at several different ones and like it sort of depends. And then they have where they either alter the leotard and add the sailor accents up top, which I feel like might be better, or like they go the route of an over top piece. I just feel like having like a different way of going about it, closer to what other cosplayers are doing, might make more sense. Like how this costume has you put it together is slightly confusing, and like I know it's not necessarily their fault, but I feel like Sailor Moon is one of those cosplays that someone would choose as their first one, or like someone's mom is making this for them for Halloween. And it's confusing. I had to read the pattern several times to kind of understand, and I still don't understand why they have certain things done the way that they do. Like, to me, there are elements that could be better. So I wouldn't necessarily recommend it, and it doesn't really seem like it's being sold anymore. I got mine several years ago. But yeah, I will just, over top all of this, there should be footage of sort of the construction, like the inner workings of my cosplay, the closer details. One of the biggest things that I didn't realize until the convention, which I went to the Cosplay Fix-It station just to sort of solve it, and that is the front of the jacket is held together by like dress hook and eye things, which are not the most secure. They're meant for like skirts and that sort of thing, for just like at the very top of your zipper. And that's what the top is held, and when you push together or like just move, it would come undone. And so my top essentially just kept coming undone. So I went to the Cosplay Fix-It and I just got a safety pin to work with it. And after that, it wasn't really an issue. But another element of the top is the bow. And literally they just have you secured in the middle, which I understand for like wanting to be able to take it off later to wash it or something. But it literally just is at that point and flops down. Like it's not like the bow is being held up anywhere else. On the school uniform, I actually went in and I tacked the bow up so it held up more, because in that pattern it also says to just like have it on a tie or just like sew it on, but it had the same thing of the bow being floppy, so I just tacked it up higher, like on the edge of the bow. I will show you to do that. And since I made it, and if I were to launder it, I have no issue with undoing my couple stitches that I did on it. For the school uniform, honestly, the most frustrating thing is that pattern has a terrible skirt, like, pattern in general. I recommend the pattern for the sailor top. That turned out great. Definitely do a practice run. It was not the first time that I've made a sailor shirt from that specific pattern, because I made one that was slightly gaudy. The skirt pattern, just completely ignore it. Just look up a tutorial on how to make a pleated skirt. For Sailor Moon, I did knife pleats, and I followed someone else's advice after I had terrible failure. The skirt pattern for that, like, it does not work. Like, it does not make sense. It's just one that you should not be using, because it's just a pleated skirt. And what they have you do is cut out like panels which works for other skirts, but for when you're pleating, you don't want a seam just showing up on one of your pleats if you can avoid it. And you can like easily avoid it if you get like a fabric that's wide enough, or if you're smaller framed, or you know, just the length of your skirt in general. There are plenty of places where you can find like the math behind pleats, but behind pleated skirts and pleating in general. So I highly recommend just using that and looking it up. Even if you are a beginner, I swear you will be able to find a tutorial, an explanation, and the math formula that will work for you to make a pleated skirt 10 times better. I will show you on mine because I reuse the fabric, and so I do have like seams and stuff that are kind of an issue, but not enough to have me remake the skirt another time. Like, it just didn't work as well as what just making a normal pleated skirt would. But yeah, and I still have a lot of brushing to do on these pigtails, so I'm just gonna leave it here. I feel like I've said my piece. As for cosplay in the future, I want to make more. There are some where I think that maybe I'll buy, but overall, I want to do more cosplay. So I hope that you enjoy this content, and let me know in the comments below if you enjoy this type of thing of just sort of talking about it after the fact and showing the images. Would you prefer like the in progress, actually making the cosplay or putting it together? Like I said, there are a few cosplays that I feel like I might buy just there are a few cosplays that I think I might just outright buy, but I'd still have to like style a wig or that sort of thing. So if you would like to see more from me, I do a little bit of everything. My boyfriend Connor also shows up fairly frequently, and he has his own channel here, SideQuest Studio, where he opens Magic the Gathering and Pokemon cards and Yu-Gi-Oh! Just sort of like anything card related at the moment is what he's been doing. But yeah, so thank you so much for watching, and I hope you have a fantastic rest of your day, and flock and squawk again with me sometime. Bye! Hi, buddy.